now is California Congressman Brad Sherman. Congressman, thanks indeed for joining us. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, as we saw earlier in the programme, says these airstrikes in Gaza are just the beginning. Hamas is threatening to execute hostages on live TV. Is this going to be a drawn-out and brutal war?
This is going to last many weeks, perhaps many months. You can't leave Hamas. You can't just pretend this didn't happen and leave them with the sophisticated military power that they've demonstrated. You have to disable Hamas, and that will be a difficult thing to do, and it will not be pretty. But it's the alternative.
You've been a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee for 28 years. You've seen lots of conflict like this. What do you think the US should be doing now?
We should be aiding in Israel, not only militarily, but diplomatically, because there are already those who are saying that Israel should not try to defend itself, and those calls will be louder as Israel takes the necessary action. And I think that everyone with a voice in America has got to say that when an organization like Hamas dedicates itself for decades to kill or expel every Jew from the Middle East, you should take them at their word. That is their objective. That is their program.
Should the Biden administration have been more involved in this conflict before now?
I think the Biden administration has been very involved and, in fact, may have triggered this through its success in bringing Saudi Arabia and Israel together on the precipice of a deal that would be historic. One possible view of this is that Hamas was acting out of fear that Israel would conclude a deal with Saudi Arabia and with much of the Arab world, and that they would be left isolated. I don't think Hamas did this because just because they could. I think they did it because they thought they had to.
On that normalization agreement that the US has been working on between Saudi Arabia and Israel, where does that stand now, given what's happened?
I think it's certainly on hold. I wouldn't expect any progress for the next several weeks. We'll have to see how this emerges. But I think the possibility of a coalition in Israel's government would help move that process along. And I think Saudis seeing the brutality of those who take the Iranian line, we're probably going to see executions on live television. We've already been threatened with that. What isn't being reported is the rapes and the beheadings that have already occurred on Israeli soil. I think as that information gets out, the Saudis may feel that they would be better off with Israel than allying themselves with Iran and its proxies.
What can be done in a practical sense by the US or others to stop that brutality that you're describing there?
You have to defeat Hamas. You cannot reform Hamas. And that will take weapons from the United States, and it will take diplomatic support from the United States. And I know that some have called for Hamas has called for a truce. Right after Pearl Harbor, I'm sure Japan would have liked a truce, having destroyed so much of our Navy. That isn't going to happen.
And what about the civilians in the Gaza Strip? What can be done about the inevitable humanitarian crisis there?
Well, I am troubled by this discussion of turning off food and water. I hope that's a very short term, meeting the exigencies. Israel has done a phenomenal job of working to avoid civilian casualties, and Hamas has done a phenomenal job in trying to increase Palestinian casualties. They use these homemade rockets, a large portion of which never reach Israel, but instead crash into a Gaza Strip, which is a densely populated area. You have them storing their weapons in depots at mosques and schools. You see them using human shields. So Hamas tries to maximize Palestinian civilian casualties. Israel, on the other hand, I've never seen another military in the world do this, will actually inform people at a target that that target has to be hit and give people either through cell phones or through leaflets or through a mock or small explosion, the idea that this or that Hamas building is going to be bombed. I've never seen a military anywhere in the world take such extraordinary efforts to try to reduce civilian casualties.
Okay. Congress Brad Sherman, thank you indeed for joining us.